Welcome back. You're watching The Property Show. Now, American real estate tycoon Donald Trump's visit to India has grabbed headlines all over, especially his statement that India to him is a great place to invest, especially after the elections. And on his India agenda is to, of course, extend his luxury real estate brand through his association with developers like the Lodha Group and Panchsheel Realty. When we speak of such branded residences, the market for these has significantly matured in recent years in India, with many players entering this segment. Let's chat with Samarjeet Singh, MD India Homes, and Snehdeep Aggarwal, founder and chairman of Bhartiya Group, to understand the potential that branded residences hold in India. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. Samarjeet, let me begin with you. They're pegging the growth of this segment, branded residences, at 5 to 6%, even though it's such a new concept in India, just 2-3 years old. Are you finding enough takers for these concepts on ground? What are you sensing from investors?
You know, there has been an increased level of interest in the last year and a half, because earlier the concept was alien and people were not willing to pay a premium. If you look at all branded residences, and there are two kinds principally. Firstly, they're branded by the hotel chains, which give serviced houses, or you have brands that are sort of designer brands, and they have branded residences. So both of these have a premium attached, and customers were originally very careful about being willing to pay such a premium when there were other properties available to them, similar properties at lower prices. In the last year and a half, we've noticed that the value in these branded residences and the social cachet that comes along with them has become quite apparent to people. And there is a high degree of sort of comfort in paying the premium that is expected. And for that reason, we are finding much higher offtake and a lot more interest than there was previously.
Samir, what's your take on this? You always tend to have a pulse of the market, what the market mood is. What are you sensing?
Well, I would agree with Samar that now we have witnessed that after, for example, even if you look at DLF projects which are not branded but they are ultra luxury. So the definition of branded residences also is in the scheme of ultra luxury projects. So there is a premium that a customer is definitely willing to pay for the ultra luxury project, even if it's not completely branded. But yes, with a brand like Trump, or if you talk about, say, Grand Hyatt, there is a big premium that is getting associated, and the projects are trading at a 25 to 35% premium compared to the projects in the nearby vicinity.
Mr. Aggarwal, let me bring you in here. You have a mega township coming up in Bangalore, the Bhartiya city, a big portfolio of developments coming up there. What made you take the plunge into branded residences with the Leela Group?
You see, our view is that every home should be branded, because now we should stop selling homes as a commodity. So when we launched our city, we created a home brand called Niku Homes. And this city will have various categories of homes and different kinds of homes. And one of the categories will also be Leela Residences. So every home should have a brand attribute, have certain characteristics. That is our view. That's why every home in this city will carry a brand name, and that brand, of course, is not something that is just planted on a home. While designing, while thinking of the product, we are thinking that how it will add to the standard of living or a quality of life to my end customer. That's why we thought, and Leela is a very, very luxury segment, and we thought Leela will be very well received. So in our conversations with various stakeholders and customers, everybody is very excited that Leela will bring that quality of life and the ultimate luxury to a home buyer.
But what do you think makes Donald Trump so excited about India in this space?
Well, I think it's quite clear that Donald Trump has a great correlation with social mobility. So if you look at anywhere in the US, you find more flamboyance and more people in that mindset who are sort of more into Trump realty and a lot of the previous Trump towers. India today is going through that phase of there is a lot of social mobility now. The super rich are becoming the uber rich, and the middle classes are now having far more disposable income. So our view is that Trump Towers per se is perfectly positioned for the Indian context, because there is much more social mobility, and the recent report you might have seen about the number of millionaires in India, it is at par with anywhere else in the world. So given that affluence, that ability to spend, and that whole sort of emerging upper crust, I think the Trump brand perfectly matches the aspiration of the emerging super rich in India.
One of the concerns that was raised in this discussion that most of the niche customers who are going to come and book these branded residences, they will also want the surrounding infrastructure to be top class. How are developers going to navigate this challenge?
So that is exactly my issue, that you can't create a place of excellence and surround it with slums. So when you pass through a slum and go to a luxury hotel, you carry a little bit of slum in your heart to that hotel. So in Bhartiya city, the whole city is a place of excellence. It is surrounded by parks, you can cycle, you can walk. It is world-class infrastructure, and that's why the relevance of a Leela residence in Bhartiya city. I fully appreciate what you say, and that's what we are trying to bring to this world.
Right. Sameer, can we look at branded residences as a good investment vehicle? Can you expect to make returns out of such big ticket investments?
Well, that's a very good question, because typically they are already trading at a good enough premium to the market. So really speaking, there have been some projects which have been branded, and developer has taken the prices up of those projects, but nothing has been delivered so far to be able to figure out as to what further premium will they get once these projects are delivered. Yes, the premium is definitely there, but the premium is being taken by the developer upfront, so it still has to be seen.
You know, if I can just come in here, I don't think the ROI can be assessed in pure commercial terms, because many people who go in for trophy assets or are willing to pay a premium, I don't think they're looking at it purely from a what is my appreciation on a year-to-year basis. They will buy something else if that is their lens. So if the lens is ROI in terms of prestige, family self-esteem, the ability to grow up in a better environment, then the ROI is very high. But from a purely commercial ROI, I think don't believe it's a win-win proposition in the short term.
So, okay, it's a matter of prestige and family pride. So maintenance and the huge costs of maintaining such properties, that shouldn't be a problem, right? That's a big concern that people have raised.
You know, India is an interesting country. I mean, even people who buy cars worth ₹1 crore still ask the question about what is the fuel economy of the car. So I'm not sure. I think one of the stumbling blocks we found is that people often stumble at this high maintenance cost that people have to pay, and in many cases it works out to lakhs because it's calculated on a per square foot basis. So I don't think that that is a non-issue. It is a significant issue, and I think one of the recalibrations that developers of branded residences will have to do is that they can get away in India with charging the premium for the branded residence. I'm not sure they can get away with charging a premium on maintenance charges, because the Indian customer is very particular about what he is paying for and whether that much value he is getting. So that may pose a different set of challenges on an ongoing basis. But I think from a point of view of initial purchase, I think they'll do well. They will have to battle it out and readjust the Indian mindset to be willing to pay such high premium in lakhs and lakhs for just maintenance. So that I think is an ongoing battle.
All right. Okay, in recent months post the elections and the budget, a lot of positive announcements, so the market mood is slightly improving. But over the last 2 years, when the market has been down in the dumps, has that impacted these developers of these big ticket projects? They launched them. What challenges did they face?
I think there was a very, very adverse impact, because a lot of these developers found that the only stock that was moving was in the lower end of the market and the middle end of the market. The luxury segment went into freeze effectively. So I think what happened was that a couple of years ago, sort of 2.5 years ago, when things were still good, a lot of projects got announced. But in the middle, when things slowed down and there was a dramatic crunch time for real estate, a lot of the plans that developers had made did not see the light of day. Today, now, with the new government in place and a lot more stability, developers are once again looking to execute on what they had sort of announced. So I think the life has come back into the segment now that we are anticipating that there will be a more stable environment. But for the last 2 years, it was almost the entire segment went into freeze, and very, very few projects were announced that were specifically focused at the top end of the market, which is what this accounts for.
All right, but now the market seems to be looking up, and definitely quality execution and finding the right audience for such projects is going to be the challenge for developers of branded residences. Samarjeet, Mr. Aggarwal, thank you so much for joining us today.